it's me again. I'm just doing a little bit of an update on things with my palinziq. It's been a while. I know I haven't done like an update yet from my last injection. Last injection was last Tuesday, but I've just kind of been like, my roommate has COVID, so like I'm trying to stay in my room and stuff, and I had to get tested for work, but I'm negative. But yeah, there's been a couple things, like, basically, like, I did end up getting a little bit of a red rash on my most recent injection, and it was like, oh my gosh, it was itchy. But I know that's completely a normal, like, common symptom. What else have I been having? It's weird. I noticed when you do the injection, like, the next day you're, like, the day of and the next day you're so sore. So, like, I have a game plan for next Tuesday where I'm going to probably take both the ibuprofen and Tylenol. A little spread out from each other, though. Like, I'll take, like, the ibuprofen 2 hours before, and then the Tylenol, like, 1 hour before, just to give it extra, I guess. Like, I'll figure it out. But, I had to switch from Tylenol to, sorry, no, not Tylenol. I had to switch from naproxen to ibuprofen, because the naproxen, for some reason, it's, like, coated, and it was upsetting my stomach very much so, and I was feeling sick, like, ill, like, acidic reflux. I even, got sick, like, a couple times, so I've been taking that instead, and my acid reflux stuff has, like, improved so much. And I don't even need to eat as much in the morning to take my pills as I have been, because my ibuprofen has, like, it's like the gel liquid capsules, and that they've been working a lot better. I have had to take Benadryl a couple times this week. I mostly took it the first time just because, like, this little girl here, I tend to have allergies anyway, so I'm taking cetirizine. And usually cetirizine is fine for her. Oh, she's not taking it. I'm taking it. Usually cetirizine is fine for her. I am a little bit allergic to, like, her dander and stuff. So usually cetirizine is fine, but for some reason, I think it might have been also because I was, like, cleaning my room, like, deep cleaning my room and stuff, and, like, dust was flying and everything. I don't do well with dust. Like, it gets stuck in my throat. Like, my throat can feel almost like it's closing a bit, with it, burning eyes, itchiness, tongue can kind of feel tingly sometimes, but the second time I took Benadryl was today, and I was honestly scared that I had to use my EpiPen. Proof that I'm allergic to her a bit. I thought I needed to use my EpiPen. I was very, very, very anxious, and I was, like, doing a read-through of Alice in Wonderland with friends, and I just, like, felt like my throat was, like, really, really tight, and it was a bit sore as well. Like, last night, I was coughing a lot, like, major coughing, And I ended up like screwing up my voice a bit. You can kind of hear it's like still scratchy. So it kind of, I think that kind of made my throat swollen too. But, oh God, I had the worst panic attack. But I was like full on concerned I needed to use my EpiPen because like I could breathe still, like I could breathe in and out and like do deep breathing, but it felt like my throat was like closing and my chest was a bit tight. But I'm like, oh, it's so confusing because when I'm having a panic attack, a lot of those symptoms are the same symptoms as like they told me for anaphylaxis. So I'm like, how the heck do I tell the difference? I ended up calling my mom first and being like, I think I might have to use my EpiPen. Like, I'm breathing, but like I feel my throat closing. And so I was panicking on the phone with my mom. But then I called my hospital. They have a line where it's like after hours and there's a metabolic doctor on call. And so like mid-panic, like I'm on the phone with my mom, but then I called the radies and then somehow it like merged the call. So I got the metabolic doctor on call and I was like, I don't know if I need to use my EpiPen or not. This is what's happening. Oh, and my tongue was tingling. That was another thing that I was like, okay, that's different. Like, that doesn't usually happen. And I was talking easily, but like also kind of out of breath. And so I'm telling the doctor this, and she's like, oh, well, I could hear you talking and stuff, and you don't sound like you're having a hard time talking. And I told her, I was like, I did also choke on something the night before, so like I don't know if that has something to do with like my throat feeling swollen. But it alarmed me because it felt swollen. And so I calmed down a little bit. My mom was on the phone with me. She was doing the 5 senses of calming me down. It's a grounding technique where you do 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can feel, I think, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you could taste. And so she was doing that with me, and it did help me calm down, like enough to stop hyperventilating. But the doctor on the call was like, oh yeah, like you'd be having labored breathing if it was anaphylaxis. And I think mine was only a little bit labored just because I was like hyperventilating. I was not breathing like I should have been. And that's another concern of like, how do I know it's not just my anxiety? Because my anxiety gets triggered when I feel like I can't breathe. And like that's another big anxiety trigger for me is first and foremost it's the fear that I can't breathe. But then second in line for like my triggers is nausea, because well sometimes when you're nauseous you feel like you can't breathe. But she was like, oh yeah, like it'd be a lot worse, like you wouldn't be able to talk to me correctly right now. She agreed with my mother that it was possibly an allergy to the palinziq, but not a big enough allergy to where I needed to use the EpiPen. I was told to take Benadryl. And just because, like, there wasn't other signs of anaphylaxis, like I didn't have a rash or anything, my lips weren't swollen, my face wasn't swollen, so they told me to try to take a Benadryl to, like, open up my throat and, like, make it feel less scratchy, and, like, to make my tongue stop tingling, because I've actually had a story before where my tongue started tingling, and I took Benadryl and then it was fine. I don't know why my tongue was tingling, but that was a new one. But yeah, basically at Disney World, I went to Sutuli Bowl in Animal Kingdom with my best friend, and I had a meal. I had one of their vegetarian meals, and at first I thought it was the tofu, and I was like, but I've had tofu before, that doesn't make sense. And then I remembered, though, that, like, I remembered some of the ingredients that were in the bowl. But anyway, my tongue started tingling. I had to take Benadryl, and then I was fine. And then when I was at my apartment for CP housing, college program housing, I got these crackers, like these Ritz crackers from Publix, and they had sweet chilies on them. It was like sweet chili Ritz crackers or something. I started eating them, and then my tongue started tingling again. And I was like, oh, the Sutuli Bowl actually had, like, it was fried sweet chili tofu. So then I realized, I was like, wow, okay, I guess I'm allergic to sweet chilies. But yeah, like, I don't know, I think it might have been palinziq making my tongue tingly a little bit. But yeah, I took Benadryl, and I had taken my also pill to help me calm down for anxiety, which I got really, really tired after I did that, because they're both, like, sedating, and I got to the point where I was like, Mom, I'm loopy. So I took a nap to, like, help with the loopiness, and it did help. But yeah, basically, like, that's kind of, like, what's been going on with, like, side effects and stuff. The doctor did tell me on call, told me that basically anaphylaxis tends to show up, like, really close to when you did your injection. So, she like, asked when my last injection was, and I was like, oh, Tuesday. And she's like, oh, and then she's like, well, actually, like, anaphylaxis only happens, like, can only happen really significantly, like, over, like, a day, like, after your injection, but we tell you to carry it anyways, just in case. It's just, like, it's more likely to happen, like, the day of your injection or the day after. And that's why they recommend having someone with you for an hour to monitor you after you take your injection, which I'm probably gonna utilize. For a long while, they're like, oh, like, just let us know when you feel comfortable to not have someone there for your injection. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, but I feel like that's not going to be a while, just because my anxiety is so high about it. But yeah, and my next injection is Tuesday the 26th. I do not have a time set for it yet, but my representative is going to be here with me and monitoring me, and she's a nurse too, so she'll know definitely what to do. She's worked with, like, so many people on palinziq, it's ridiculous. So she definitely knows what she's doing. But yeah, she's gonna be here, and my mom's gonna be here. So I'll get like double the lookout for side effects and stuff. I just hope that I don't ever end up getting anaphylaxis. It's just a scary thought. And they say for palinziq, it's not like anaphylactic shock where you stop breathing, but it's like your face can get swollen still, your throat can be like swelling. It's more like your breathing ends up being like a wheezing instead of like it's like that's what they described it to me as, like. And and then another thing that's been happening is I don't know if it's just because I've been in my room a lot and like having to be like isolated from work and not being able to work because of my roommate's COVID. But like I've been noticing I've been getting like a bit winded just walking to my car from my apartment, and I'm like, whew, I feel like an old lady with arthritis. So I tend to take another ibuprofen, like 200 milligrams later in the day, when the first one runs out. And then when the pain's worse, I take Tylenol in between, like I swap them out. But yeah, because you could take Tylenol every 4 hours, I think it is, and then you take ibuprofen every 6 to 8 hours. So I take 200 milligram ibuprofens during the day and like 2 Tylenols. They're extra strength, but I think they all come in extra strength. So I just know I'm on a journey to improve myself, but it can be rough sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. I haven't had a lot of reactions, like bad reactions, so I hope it stays that way when I up the dosage. So yeah, basically, if you have any questions or comments about what's happening with the palinziq, you can leave comments, concerns below. Feel free to subscribe. I'm not gonna be like, subscribe like 10,000, like I need to get to 10,000. No. This is just to kind of document my journey as I go through it. And I would like to go back on it like when all this is like in control and like steady flow and like it starts working and stuff. It's a lot of it's me going back to it and being like, whoa, palinziq changed my life. That's basically the purpose of this, but it's also to educate people about PKU, because not a lot of people know about it. And it's a very rare disorder. Like, it's more from like the Scandinavian like heritage. But it's funny because like my sibling has dark hair, dark eyes. My dad has dark hair, dark eyes. My mom has dark hair, blue eyes, like, and they're all tall. So then there's me, who's short, blonde, and has light eyes. But yeah, basically it's a recessive gene that comes from both parents. They can both carry it, and then their child can actually end up having PKU. But there's a whole another story about like when you have PKU and like find your partner for life, and if you want to have kids, there's this whole like process for that too. Big reason why I haven't really been thinking about kids, because I'm like, yikes. Like, I mean, I like kids, but I'm very high risk, basically, is what I'm thinking. And I'm like, I don't want to put the kid's life in jeopardy because of decisions I made while I was pregnant. And it's just, I feel like I would be the type, if I wanted to have kids ever, I think I would want to adopt or like do a surrogate, because I'm just like, please, I don't want them to have PKU. Like, this has been a rough road for me. I've seen how rough it was on my mom growing up. Like, I don't want that for my kid. But yeah, basically, I'm just trying to educate people about PKU and maybe give some hope for parents who do have PKU children, that palinziq is an option for when they get older to have better control over their diet and be able to function normally, because high Phe levels really can mess with you. It definitely decreases the quality of life, and it gets frustrating, and it even gets depressing sometimes. Like, you want to function like a normal person, but you realize, like, with your high Phe levels, like, your neurotransmitters don't work correctly. So it's hard to process things like a normal person would. But yeah, and wow, this this video is really long. Oh, sorry about that, but I just wanted to update all of you and maybe educate you a little bit on some stuff. And I should probably do another follow-up video after my 3rd injection. I'm a little nervous about my 3rd injection, just because, like, I've seen other vlogs and they're like, more reactions happen on the 3rd, and I'm like, great. But yeah, so please send positive vibes, prayers, good energy. But yeah, I'm glad that whoever's watching is supportive, and I hope that you get to see a change in me as much as I want to see a change in me. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day.